Hey everyone, it's Ryan Henry with INSPIREsmall.biz, and on this episode of the Bright Ideas Show, we welcome Jamie Hopper, registered financial consultant with Money Concepts. Don't miss today's show. Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Bright Ideas Show, where each week we feature business owners here in Central Indiana and share their stories with you. Today my guest is a longtime connection of mine, also the co-host of Business Spotlight, second Friday of every month, and the host of our Keystone Business Connections meeting, Jamie Hopper. Jamie, how you doing today?
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is fantastic.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for being on the show today and taking time out of your schedule to be here. So,
absolutely.
Who is Jamie Hopper? Tell us about your family and anything you want to share with folks.
You know, I'm a longtime Hoosier. I was born in Chicago, moved to be closer to my mom's family in the early 80s, and it was such a blessing to grow up in that South Bend area. Met my wife when I was a senior in high school. Aww. She was a little bit younger. We met at church, which we're really excited about to be able to say we met at church because that's something that's really important to us. I went to IU, went through the Kelly School of Business.
Nice.
Something that I'm proud of. So lifelong Hoosier. I always say that we root for Indiana in the winter, Notre Dame in the fall, and the Chicago White Sox in the summer. So I'm a little bit of a glutton for punishment. My teams haven't won in a long time, but it's exciting. But Leslie and I got married in 2000. She's a teacher in Fishers in Hamilton Southeastern, and it's such a blessing. She's quite the celebrity in our town.
Nice.
Every place we go now, she knows students. She's even had some students whose children have come back through now.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Just barely. She's just now getting to that point. But it's exciting. Every place we go, Mrs. Hopper, Mrs. Hopper. Our kids hate it, but I always think it's funny. She knows somebody every place we go.
Nice.
We've got two kids, Kate and Dylan. Kate's a freshman this year. Dylan's in 6th grade, and they're amazing. They love Jesus, and they just like to have a good time. Just their activities change a lot. They've tried a lot of different things. Kate's involved in a Bible study now.
Nice.
She's doing a little bit, just starting. She's going to do the Riley Dance Marathon this year, so we're excited for her to participate in that. Her school's football season just ended, so
nice.
Hopefully my chauffeur duty will tone down just a little bit now that I'm not driving her to the football games every week.
Nice.
But that'll be good. But we're rooting for him to win next year, so hopefully he'll come back strong again. Dylan loves planes. He talks about being in the Air Force one day.
Nice.
Wants to be a pilot. Anything to do with that. Our favorite movie is Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, and anything to do with planes. He's got the app on his phone, and he's forever outside checking to see what's in the sky. And
oh, wow.
He's wanting us to take him to the airport all the time to see what he can go in or see flying around, and it's just an exciting time. And we're really involved with our church. We go to Heartland Church in Fishers, and that's been something that's been really important to us. We've been there for about 8 years. We were raised Catholic, so non-denominational is different for us, but different in a very good way.
Nice.
That's our second family. It's our community. It's just a place where we get filled up every week, and then I think we kind of lead that out into our regular lives as well as we can. We're leading small groups and doing other things, and it's been a really nice change for us and something that's really important. And it's a place where we get a lot of diversity in our lives and our family, which isn't something we see a ton of where we live. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to be able to go into a place that is very diverse and be able to show that to our kids, but also experience it ourselves in a very positive way. And something I didn't know I needed, but I absolutely do.
Nice.
And I love it. So that's a little bit about us.
Nice.
But we've been together. Leslie and I have been together since 1995.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to her. I mean, she she put up with me for a long time. She has earned her way into heaven already. No doubt about it. But I am very, very blessed. She is by far. God definitely knew what He was doing when He put us together.
That's fantastic.
It's just a pure blessing to be able to go home to her.
Nice. And so, Jamie, you're also a big fan of the Chicago White Sox, and you got a question that you asked recently, talked about on the show. You want to share a little bit about that?
That was cool. So I listened to the White Sox Talk podcast, and it's really interesting. So the two guys that run that podcast have been lifelong Sox fans. So we've all been through all of the downs and a little bit of the ups, but we're just fans. We know the same players, the same activities, and they have access to a lot of the inside things, the players and all that. And they recently, every now and then, they asked fans to submit questions or ideas, things like that. And they recently posted a question. We just got a new GM. If you could be the GM of the White Sox, what changes would you make before next season? So I tweeted my thoughts on that. And when they did the show, I listened to the podcast a lot when I'm in the shower.
Okay.
So sometimes I have to break them up into 3 or 4 days, but I'll listen to it. And I was listening to the podcast, and all of a sudden he's like, all right, let's get on to the next one. He's like, Jamie Hopper. And I was like, what? And they actually talked about my tweet for 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then I was excited, and then I shut it off because I was done, and I got out and I posted about it on Facebook, and I was doing all this stuff. And then the next day I listened to the end of the show, and at the end of the podcast they talked about me again for almost 5 minutes. And the one guy actually picked mine as the favorite, which I was actually pretty excited about.
So you have a future in sports podcasting, apparently.
You know what? I would be okay with that, but.
Nice.
But it's something that I enjoy. I got DirecTV just so I could have access to the one channel the Sox games are on.
That's NBCSN, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I pay the money for the DirecTV pretty much just for that,
wow.
even though I do use it all the time now that I have it, unfortunately. But I got it for that, and I probably see part of every game. I never watch a game from beginning to end. I very rarely sit down just to watch a game, but I like to have it on the background. I'll read a book and have the game on without the sound, or listen to do something else, or be checking emails or something. But it's always part of me.
Nice.
In the car, the only things I listen to are Christian radio and then the White Sox broadcast.
Oh, wow.
I still love listening to a baseball game on the radio.
There's nothing like it, is there?
No, there's really not. And I mean, just to be able to hear the sounds and hear the announcer, a good announcer describe the game and be able to picture it exactly like it is,
Nice.
it's something that's special to me.
Nice. So, Jamie, let's talk about your professional career here. You're a graduate of the Kelley School of Business. So tell us, what did you do out of college? What was the beginning of your career like?
That's funny. I was so stubborn. That's the only way to describe it.
Okay.
To talk about what I did when I graduated from college was to really frustrate my mother. Because I went into school as somebody, you can laugh all you want, it's true. I went into school as somebody who had big dreams, big ideas. Life had always been easy for me.
Okay.
Not life itself, but the school part of it. And not that in any way, shape, or form was I brilliant, but school came easily to me. And when that happens, you get to a point where it's not easy anymore, or it takes more effort. And it's funny how it becomes less enjoyable, and instead of pushing harder, you push less. And I went through a lot of ups and downs in college because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I went in, I thought I was going to be an accountant, be a CPA, thought I'd end up being a CFO one day, CEO, something like that. And that was all I wanted to do. And I got into school, and that wasn't it. So I got a management degree on top of it. And when I graduated, one of my friends was working for Foot Locker. And I went there one day, and the district manager was there, and he was somebody who was really cool. He was doing really well. He was driving a nice car. He started talking to me about their management training program. I was like, well, that's something I want to do. So I started working at Foot Locker.
Okay.
Wearing the striped uniform. Yep, looking like a referee, living that lifestyle, and it kind of sucked. Foot Locker was at that point where they were in their cash cow phase. So they had done really well in the 80s. They had done pretty well in the 90s, but they were starting to come back down the other side of the success curve, and they were doing anything they could to save money. And one of those things they were doing to save money was cutting back on labor.
Okay.
And to be an assistant manager in a situation when you're in a big store and they're cutting back on labor is hard, because that means that you're there all the time. So I moved to Indianapolis February 6, 1998. I remember that date. It was my wife's birthday, and we weren't married yet. But I moved down that day because the manager of the Castleton store asked me if I would come down here. He was going to train me how to be a store manager. He's like, I know a lot of these guys are going to be a lot of openings to have your own store soon. He's like, you come down here, I'll show you the way. I moved down here. Right after I got here, he told me that he had put in his 2-week notice and he was leaving.
Oh, no.
So I was in a huge Castleton store all by myself, nobody to show me the way.
Oh, jeez.
And right after I got here, I went home to bring some more stuff down to my apartment. And while I was up there, I went to church to play basketball in our Wednesday night church league, and I broke my foot.
Oh.
So I was managing the huge store down here with the walking cast on my leg, working till 2 o'clock in the morning, going up and down the ladder, doing displays and designs.
No.
I had to have, because I was by myself, I literally had no employees except for a couple hours on the weekend. In Castleton Mall, which was supposed to be fancy at that time, I had everything zip tied because I would go to the back to get a pair of shoes for somebody and come back and I'd have 5 jerseys gone.
Oh, wow.
So it ended up being a horrible situation for me. So that led me into network marketing, which frustrated my parents even more because at this point I had just totally blown my education.
Right.
And that was fun though. I still use some of the training that I learned from that time in what I do now. Even though the company got shut down by the FTC at some point, the guy that ran the company was an extremely amazing sales trainer. And after you go through a few years of network marketing, what are you going to do next? I was a little bit desperate, and I went and worked in a restaurant.
Okay.
And it was fun. I was good at it. God made me good at that. And I was working hours that were reasonable. I could play golf a couple times a week. I could still be a decent husband, I thought. And I got stuck doing that for a long time. And you do that for a while, and all of a sudden you realize there's really no positive ending to this. So I got a little bit down on myself, but the amazing thing about it was I look back on that time period now, and I thank God that I went through that progression that I did, because not only did it knock me off my high horse, which was very important, but it also gave me skills that I needed and that I didn't have.
Nice.
You know that I'm very introverted. Now, you can't see that when I'm out because I do a decent job in public.
You can hide it pretty darn well.
I think I can handle a microphone okay. I do well in a conversation. But when I'm at an event, I reach a limit and I'm done. Or if I get finished with a conversation, the next conversation doesn't come easy for me as I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go next, who I'm going to talk to. Those things are still very difficult for me. But all of those years that I worked those jobs, what it did was it gave me the confidence to talk to anybody. I can talk to a pretty woman, I can talk to a businessman, I can talk to anybody, anywhere, and it doesn't faze me. And that's something that the old Jamie could not have done successfully. So God gave me a lot of skills. He gave me sales training, He gave me the ability to talk to people that I never had before. And those are all things that I use now. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do what I do now with the skills that I have now. Even though I didn't always enjoy what I was doing, I know now that He was preparing me for the life that I live.
Nice. And so, Jamie, you are currently involved in a senior support group through your church. Would you like to share about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am not a senior, by the way, but because of what I do for a living, part of what I do is I sell long-term care insurance. And I had the opportunity to be at a networking event in Carmel, probably 2019. It was after I'd met you, but I found this event on one of the networking websites, and I went to it, and they had a breakout room, and there were about 15 people in this circle. And the guy next to me went, and we went all the way around, and the person next to me was a guy named Dave Holder. I don't know if you've ever met Dave.
Yeah, I've met Dave, yeah.
Dave is one of my favorite people, and he runs assisted living locators. And before he said what he did, I had no idea that was even a thing. Never heard of that before. So I looked at him, and then I went next, and I talked about long-term care insurance and financial planning. He kind of looked at me, he was like, we need to have lunch. Well, he opened me up to this whole different world of things that go on in the senior industry that I didn't know were there. And I started doing a lot of networking there and met all these resources, things that I didn't even know were out there, like Dave and a lot of other things. And all of a sudden, one day I was at lunch with a friend who worked at an adult day center, and she said, Jamie, I really want to start a senior ministry at my church. And I asked her to tell me about it, and she's talked about taking care of the caregivers and making sure they had access to resources and helping them get all the legal things they need finished and figuring out how they're going to pay for it with Medicaid, Medicare, all that different things. And I was like, wow, I really think I could do that. So I started talking to another friend at church, Kim Williams. She's the leader of the Indiana Parkinson Association. Foundation, I always say it wrong, foundation. And we got to talking. She goes to our church and she's like, yeah, we can do this. So what we do is we get connected with people generally that are caregivers.
Nice.
Once in a while, somebody will contact them. They just have a Medicare question or something simple, and I'll get them referred to the right person. But we generally get with the caregivers, and they've gone through a horrible time. They've tried to do everything themselves. They reached their breaking point, and generally they're way past their breaking point.
Yeah.
And we just start talking, and they always say the same thing. We're like, I know you can't help me, but. Well, yes, we can. I know you can't help me, but. And then they go into their story, and I just start asking them questions. Can I give you a referral or recommendation? They're like, oh, yes, please. And then I just start introducing them to people like Dave or the right attorney that can help them get the right legal documents done. And then I always try not to give them too much. I always say, look, you were very overwhelmed when you got here. What I want to do is make this easier on you, not harder. So let's get these first two things done and then come back to me. I've got a couple more recommendations for you. And then we've got access to caregiver support groups and different resources for the caregivers that they didn't know were there. And it's been a huge blessing.
Nice.
And it doesn't have to be for seniors. I met a woman a while back who she has two teenagers that have autism. And her husband divorced her, which was ridiculous. And she lives with her parents. And because she lives with her parents with the two kids, there's a company out here now that will pay her parents a stipend because they're living with their grandchildren that are on Medicaid. So her parents now are getting between $1,600 and $2,400 a month.
Which is a huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because they live. So it's not always senior related. It could be anybody. We've helped people that had a loved one that was going through cancer. And it's not me. It's just God putting me in the right place at the right time. And if I don't know somebody that can get it done, I know somebody who will. I know somebody who I can call that will connect me to the right person and get us there. But that's been a huge blessing to me. And honestly, it's not me. It's absolutely amazing to be able to offer that kind of support. The coolest part is at the end, because I always ask, they've been so strong through the whole conversation. You could hear them on the other side just ready to break. And then at the end, I always ask for permission to pray with them. And then you could just hear waterworks on the other side. And wow. you know that you've gotten through, and that now they realize that they're really not alone. Because I've been a caregiver twice. I mean, my dad was a caregiver for my mom, but I was part of it. But I was a caregiver for him for quite a while. And it is a very lonely process.
Yes, it is.
Just to be, especially as an only child, to know that he's all I got. I'm all he's got. And as a caregiver, you often feel that way, especially for married people, because they take till death do us part very seriously.
Yeah.
And they're afraid. Not only are they afraid to ask for help, but they're too proud to ask for help, and they think that their loved one's not going to respect them and love them as much if they have to get help.
Yeah.
And to be able to give people that kind of support and just let them know that they're not alone.
That's a huge deal.
It's been fantastic.
And so, Jamie, how can someone get a hold of you to discuss this support group?
So you can always call me directly, but what we recommend is you call our church. I don't have the phone number on tap, but I do know.
Do this. So
there you go.
Do this. We'll go ahead and we'll put the number down.
There we go.
So,
we'll get the phone number there, but I do know that you can email pastoralcare@heartlandchurch.com.
Awesome.
That would be the easiest way, or reach out to me directly is also fine. We have a lot of people that don't go to our church that have received help, and somebody just reaches out to me and we get them connected, and it's just fabulous. But yeah, pastoralcare@heartlandchurch.com would be a good way. You can also go to my website. On my website, I've got a tab for the senior support team.
Nice.
So all that information is there also.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, we'll be right back in a second to talk about your business money concepts. To everyone watching, stay tuned. Upcoming next is a short clip of recent content added to the INSPIREsmall.biz library, followed by Jamie Hopper and his current business. Don't miss it.
So I want to leave you with a couple of tips if you're gonna do anything today. I say take action. Go home and just do it. Just post a video. If you have a social media account, just go home and try it out. You care so much more than anybody else cares about what you look like or what you sound like. No one is paying attention to those things. Like I said, half of the people aren't even watching it yet because they're scrolling right past it. Just go home and practice. Just try it out. This one's really important. Clarity is more important than creativity. Now, I work for a very creative media company. Our tagline is create and be great. We talk about not making boring videos, say goodbye to boring. But if you are not clear in your message, then the creativity won't matter because your audience is confused and they're not listening anymore. So focus first on what is my message? How can I be clear? Probably say less. Whatever you're going to say less. And then focus on creativity. How can I take my clear message and make it creative, not the other way around?
Hey everyone, we're back with Jamie Hopper, and he is going to talk to us now about his current business opportunity, Money Concepts. So Jamie, tell everyone about how you got involved in the financial services world and what was that process like for you?
You know, that is such a cool story for me. I told you all about my progression of jobs and opportunities to get to where I was, but one of the things I did for a long time before I started financial advising, I was a stay-at-home dad.
Nice.
And I would work part-time at some of the other things that I mentioned, but I would be home with my kids all day, and then when my wife would come home, I would take off and go to work a few nights a week and a little bit on the weekends. And I always knew that when our youngest got to kindergarten, that I was going to go back full time. Now, when he got to be about 2 years old, I was ready. And I did look at some opportunities, but school would start and I didn't have anything solidified yet. And I'd be back there again, and it was fine. I loved being home with the kids, really built that relationship.
Nice.
But I was ready to go. But I would take all the personality quizzes and do different things, and nothing was really leading me in any particular direction. I looked at a few different things, but nothing that really made me passionate. And we switched churches in 2015, which wasn't too long before Dylan was going to be in kindergarten. And we got the opportunity to lead a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace small group. Mm-hmm. And we were doing financial coaching, and it was something that I was really passionate about. My wife and I had great success when we went through it. And then to see other people go through it, I really wanted to help young people not make the same mistakes we did. And everybody in that I was working with at Money Concepts later used to laugh when I'd tell them that because, oh, you can't make any money doing that. But that's where my passion lied. But the coolest part leading the financial piece was when I would see people that were in their 60s and 70s come through. And they'd been married a long time, or maybe they were on their second marriage and never talked about money. And to see them finally work together on their finances and get things right and make good decisions and get out of debt and see the joy on their face. I mean, I had a woman, she came in and she cried every week because she was like, Jamie, we've never talked about money before. And now we're working on money and we're closer than we've ever been.
Nice.
They were in their 70s. And it was so exciting to me. So it gave me a little bit different passion for what I wanted to do. But the second time that we led it, we brought a bunch of friends through because we had had success with it. And one of the guys was like, Jamie, you know, I know you're wanting to go out and get a job. He's like, you really should be a financial advisor. And I thought about it, but I was a little concerned about my resume. And we prayed about it, and he introduced me to somebody at a big company, and we had a discussion, and he was like, you know, we have a long interview process. He was like, I would love to get you started. He's like, if I could just hire you today, I would. He was like, I know that you're going to do a good job. I know you're the right person for it. He's like, I'm just not sure with your resume that you'll make it all the way through the process.
Okay.
And it devastated me. That was April 12th, 2017. Okay. I remember it was the day before my birthday.
Oh.
And my wife came home and she saw that I was upset. She asked me why. And she's like, can we just pray about this? She's like, can we pray that somebody will look past your resume and see what you can do? 2 days later, I was working in the restaurant. And this guy came in I had known for a long time. He'd been coming in, he and his wife, for 10 years. And they always asked to sit in my section. And I said, hey, will you say a prayer for me? And he said, sure, why? And I said, I'm looking to change careers. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a financial advisor. And he got this crazy look in his eye, and he said, you know, that's what I do. I had no idea. So he was nervous because he was older. He actually turned 79 last week.
Oh, wow.
And he was looking for somebody to take over his business. And he had an injury. He was a caregiver for his dad and hurt himself trying to care for his dad. And he was nervous. He wrote down his name and number and said, come into my office. So a couple of days later, I was in his office, and he started talking to me about money concepts. Now we're an independent broker dealer. We've been around for 40 years and all these different things. And he was like, you're going to own your book of business. You won't have to sign a non-compete. We've got great support. It's a great opportunity. He was like, if you want to get started, let me know. I was like, what do I need to bring you, an application, resume? He's like, no, I've been interviewing you for 10 years. He's like, I know what you can do. And I was just shocked. I was like, this is what we just prayed about. And it came to fruition very quickly. And I said, well, when does training start? He's like, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks later, I was sitting in training.
Nice.
And I had this amazing man. He was at that time like 84 years old, leading my training. He was the most intelligent person in the financial industry I've ever seen. He actually just passed away just a couple months ago. 90 years old. He and his wife were married 70 years.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. And then she just passed 2 weeks ago. But amazing man. And his son and daughter led the region that we were in. And I got to go through training with him. And it was such a cool thing to learn from somebody who had been doing it for so long. But he knew more about finances and investments and life insurance than probably anybody I'm ever going to know. So to learn from him was a great thing. And that's how I got started. It was cool to be independent. It was harder because when you come out the way I did, there's not a lot of base pay. You just got to bust it and get after it. But it was a great way to learn.
And that brings up a great point, is that any entrepreneur, whether it's someone creating their own business from zero or joining on as their own, essentially one man or woman show, it takes time to get that book of business up and running.
Absolutely.
So Jamie, let's talk about some of the people that you serve. So anyone who hears financial advisor thinks money, but help illustrate it to everyone what kind of money that looks like and what does it do for each person.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the thing about me is I never wanted to have a minimum to work with me. You see a lot of commercials on TV. Somebody says, hey, if you got $250,000, come, we're going to have a steak dinner and we'll show you what we do. I never wanted to be like that. But what I've seen over the last few years is people assume two things when they hear financial planner. One is you got to be in desperation. Your finances are just horrible, and there's somebody that's going to rebuild your credit and help you get out of a situation, which I don't rebuild credit necessarily, but I have helped people get out of debt, and I do a lot of that, especially with my Dave Ramsey background. The other thing people assume is, unless I have money, I shouldn't talk to a financial advisor. And that is incredibly false, because I say all the time that I help people live life by design and not by default. Or I used to say I help people live the life they want to live and not the one they have to live. And the reason I say that is if you use a financial advisor and they help you get on track and reach your goals, you're going to be able to stay on that path much easier than if you try to do it yourself. And there's several reasons why that's true. We've got financial planning software where I can actually input all your information into it and show you exactly, this is where you're starting, this is where you want to be, this is how much you're saving, what are your chances of success to get there. And it does 1,000 different simulations when we run it, and it's just fabulous. So that's one way. But the other thing is we always make sure that you are following along with what you need to do to get to your goals. That allows you to continue to be good at what you do. So I focus on your money and your dreams and your goals, and you focus on being good at what you're good at. It's just like anything else. If you're running a business and you're trying to do the accounting and the bookkeeping and you're cleaning the space and you're doing every other thing that needs to be done, it takes away from you being good at what you do.
Yeah.
So I allow families, I allow individuals, businesses to be good at what they do, and I help them with anything with a dollar sign. And it's been great to be able to do that. But I'm also a connector of people. So not only am I doing helping get out of debt, the investing, the college 529s, retirement plans, all of the life insurance, all of those things. But sometimes I'm like, hey, when's the last time you had somebody look at your insurance rates? And then I refer them to somebody who can do that.
Nice.
Hey, we're thinking about buying a house. Okay, well, I'm making sure that they get a 15-year mortgage, and I'm making sure that they make a small down payment and do all the things that they need to do that successfully. and then I'm connecting them to a mortgage broker that can get them the best rate.
Nice.
Instead of them trying to do it themselves and doing it wrong, and then coming back to me later to fix it. Well, we got the opportunity now to do these things right. Let's do it right, and then we'll make adjustments to everything else later.
Nice.
Because I find, our country has made it really easy for people to save money if they try, and people are doing that, but they don't always have it saved in the right place. Somebody who wants to retire when they're 55 has to do things differently than somebody who wants to retire when they're 60 or 65. Because you can't access your Social Security until you're at least 62. Probably should, if you want any money out of it, you should wait till 67 or 70. You don't have to worry about that because it may not be here at all. But the rest of us have to talk about it.
Yeah.
But your retirement accounts, you can't touch till you're 59 and a half. If you have a pension, you're probably better off waiting until you're 65. So if you want to retire early, what are we going to do to set you up for that? And to have a financial planner to help you with all of those different things is really important. But the other thing is taxes. I find people are paying way too much in taxes because they don't have their money invested in the right place. And there's a lot of things that happen with that they just kind of assume it's the cost of doing business. It doesn't have to be that way. If you use an advisor that knows what they're doing, we're going to be able to get your money not only in the right place to get you a good return, but in a place that's not going to cause as much of a tax consequence later to you. It's going to cause a better situation when you want to retire, but it's also going to be a much better situation for your family one day if they get that money, or your favorite charity, whoever.
So it's not just a matter of saving for retirement. It's a matter of making sure that your money is doing what you want it to throughout your career.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big believer in having different buckets of money. So you got to have money saved for a lot of different things. But knowing that, so many people think 65 or whatever your retirement date is the finish line. And as soon as you reach 65, we need to shut everything down and go very conservative. Well, that's not right anymore. People are living till they're 90 or 95. I mean, they say now the first person that is going to live to 150 has already been born.
Yeah.
The only thing I know for sure is that's not me.
It's probably not me either.
So because of that,
You better start working that money good.
yeah. So people, longevity risk is one of the biggest problems people have. You have the risk of living too short, not saving enough, or
Living too long on your savings.
Yep, you got it. You got it. So that's something we have to look at. How can we help people save to live to 90 or 95? And then if they want to leave a legacy, to do that too. So you can't just live to 65 and then shut your investments down and then spend what's left. You got to have that income bucket, you got to have that growth bucket, and let that growth bucket do what it does. And then no matter how long you want to live, you're going to be able to pay for everything, you're going to leave a legacy, and you're actually going to do what you want it to do.
And so anybody can start planning their retirement and for the life they want. They don't have to be a millionaire or a business owner.
Yep.
Anyone watching this today can do everything that you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's such a good habit to get into. I've had 2 separate clients lately that want to have their teenagers start putting money into a Roth IRA.
Okay.
And normally, I'm not a huge proponent of that. I want you to do things in order. I want you to save for college. I want you to pay for your own car. I want you to do all the different things. And then when you have a job at 22, 23, then we'll start saving for retirement. But they're so adamant they want their kids to learn good habits now. I'm like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
If you're going to do it now, let's start saving $25 a month, $50 a month, whatever you can afford. And that money that they put in while they're in high school could be hundreds of thousands of dollars when they're 60 years old. They just have to know that they're never going to touch that until they're 59 and a half, no matter what. But they're on board with it, and yeah, we can make that happen.
So Jamie, how can someone get a hold of you if they have money questions or they're ready to start that conversation of making sure they don't outlive their money?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to my website. It's www.moneyconcepts.com/jhopper.
Okay.
On that website, there's every place you go, there'll be a place where you can hit the contact me button, and it'll send me an inquiry. My phone number is on there, 317-576-2284, or jhopper@moneyconcepts.com. Those are always good ways to get a hold of me. I network everywhere, so you can find me in public very easily. I'm at church every Sunday, but yeah, the website is generally the best place because from there you can get everything you need.
Nice. Well, Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time to participate in our interview today. And thank you again for all of the hard work you do to help make Business Spotlight great and Keystone Business Connection. So I want you to know that I truly appreciate that.
Well, dude, I appreciate what you are doing so much. You have done so much for me personally, bringing me out of my shell, introducing me to so many people. But I just love what you're doing for business owners here, not only in our area, but now internationally. The information that you provide, the resources that you provide are helping so many people in so many different places. And it's such a benefit. And I'm so grateful to be able to promote that in any way I can. So thank you so much for what you and Carly are doing too. It's been phenomenal to be part of this.
Well, Jamie, thank you very much. And to everyone watching, don't miss our upcoming events coming up next. We will see you there. Join us for these upcoming events from INSPIREsmall.biz. On Thursday, December 7th, we have our next Keystone Business Connections meeting. That's at Old National Bank, 4805 East 96th Street in Indianapolis. 2 o'clock p.m. until 3 o'clock p.m. New guests are always welcome. You can visit this meeting twice before becoming an INSPIREsmall.biz member. This Friday, December 8th, join us for an exciting afternoon of networking and see the 2024 INSPIREsmall.biz calendar at this unique event held at Refinery 46, 2201 East 46th Street in Indianapolis. Doors open at 3 o'clock p.m. with networking. We'll unveil the 2024 INSPIREsmall.biz content calendar and then host a special business spotlight that is live streamed on YouTube, where everyone in attendance gets 45 seconds with the microphone to talk about their business. And finally, the last event of 2023, Sparks After Hours. Wednesday, December 13th, doors open at 5 o'clock p.m. at the Northside Events and Social Club. That's 2100 East 71st Street in Indianapolis. Our theme for the month is family, so join us for an evening of networking and 3 inspiring speakers and their stories about family. Our speakers this month are Jamie Hopper with Money Concepts, Sarah Kendrick with Rhea Services, and Kara Long with The Memory Collective. INSPIREsmall.biz members can attend for free, guests are just $10, and dinner is included. So don't miss this exciting event. For these and more great events from INSPIREsmall.biz and our members, visit www.inspiresmall.biz/events. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Bright Ideas Show. We'll see you next time.